about Pan-Africanism relative to this age and time, which must be done. I always say Pan-Africanism must not be seen as nostalgic. It must be seen as contemporary dynamics. And in that, I think that there will be, and I'm praying that it escalates, that the next generation will take up, this course. There are some structural adjustments. That may not be a nice term for the ears of a lot of Ghanaians because of the IMF experiences, but we still have a lot of work to do institutionally. And I think that when we did this year's Panafest, we consciously looked at making sure we had schools and young people involved, especially during our colloquium period. And one of the things that came out and resonated continuously with student contributions were, if all of you elders are talking about Pan-Africanism and we're being exposed to all the information that you're giving us through this colloquium and the caliber of scholars that have been presented, some online, some in person, when are you gonna decolonize our curriculums? When are we gonna have this information in our schools? When is this gonna be our course study and not a field trip to a conference? And that was serious.
Yeah.
We wanted to pick that up. We don't want the next generation to have to struggle to find information, empowering information about themselves. That should be our core study. That should be in our curriculum. That should be our syllabus. And as we go into all of these educational reforms, whether we're going to talk in our mother tongue, the mother tongue is more than phonetics. The mother tongue is our mother reality, our culture, our tradition, our standards. That's also a language. So language is not just phonetic, tonations. Language is who we are. Our body language, our hand language, our swagger, how we walk, how we talk, all that's language. So yes, I like the fact that we should be educating the primary grades in the mother tongue. But the mother tongue is our culture, our tradition, our values. And we cannot allow for globalization to swallow us up at the expense of taking us outside of our character. And this is where we must focus now. So the efforts of Panafest, our objectives are to tell the truth about the history of Africa, to talk about the African legacy and the empowerment of African people controlling our own resources. Well, this is not the job of Panafest. Panafest is to remind us that we have a job. It's the job of our educational institutions. It's the job of our religious institutions, because people can ignore the fact that African people are governed and behave based on religious beliefs, based on religious commitments, and African spirituality is the base of all these major religions. So even our religious institutions, once they are indoctrinating, once they are educating, they have an obligation to teach a liberation theology. Our spirituality must be based in our reality. And that means they have an obligation. They can no longer, as holdover from colonial institutions, be left untouched. They must also come into this whole movement of Pan-Africanism. And I belong to the spiritual community that refuses to say religious. I am a rabbi. I am a Kohen. I've turned my spiritual work into Pan-Africanism because I think that's real redemptive work.
Right.
That's real mind work, real spirit work. That's real people work. That's real community work. And that's how I handle that.
Okay. I want to put my 2 cents into the reason why mother tongue as a medium of teaching our children in schools is scary to politicians and pastors. There are a lot of pastors who have a bragging right of speaking English as a medium of preaching. A lot of preachers take pride in speaking English, and most of them get a lot of followers, not because they are speaking their own language, like Pastor Otable. People come and listen to Pastor Otable and the rest simply because they speak in English. And these churches also have schools, educational institutions, which they call private schools. And they get a lot of children into, or convince parents into these schools to pay a higher amount of fees simply because they can teach them what they call, quote unquote, good English. So mother tongue is carried to all these people. Politicians who speak English, prefer to speak English, dazzle the masses with their, what they believe is the command of the English language. And they know people will look at that as a qualification or regard them as very quote and unquote educated, so they fit to rule them. A case in point is the past president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. The man has no education you can talk about. He has no classmates in any higher institution, but simply because he lived in Europe, England, and France, he could speak the English language to extent. Whether his construction of the English language is perfect or not, most Ghanaians believed he's well educated, quote unquote. Therefore, he was fit. You see, his brother, the finance minister, also came out from Yale, and people believed simply because he went to Yale, he was fit to run our finances, but the guy was nothing but a criminal. In 2020 to 2008, he headed the, he had something to do with National Security and Trust, SSNB, or whatever they call it, and looted that industry, that insurance company, with tons of millions of dollars, ran away, and then surfaced again 8 years later to become the finance minister. All because we believed they went to some school that has to do with English language, therefore they were qualified to run our businesses, but they are nothing but criminals, right? So mother tongue, again, mother tongue, if we had mother tongue, like Swahili people in Tanzania and other places where they used Swahili heavily, nobody can use the English language to hoodwink us into believe that they are highly educated. Mother tongue will relieve us from these criminals. Mother tongue will liberate us from these criminals. Mother tongue will be the basis of our communication. We can use mother tongue in parliament with interpreters. We have it in South Africa and we have it at the UN. South Africa has 12 identified national languages, and in their parliament, there are paid or employed people, interpreters, who are employed by the Parliament of South Africa into these languages, that if you stand up to speak Zulu, you have somebody who would translate it to the remaining 11 languages. We have people who would translate it into the remaining 11 languages. When you stand up to speak in a Boer language called so-called Afrikaans, which is nothing but a crude Dutch language, they're trying to dignify as an Afrikaans language, you have another 11 interpreters who will interpret that language into other African national languages in South Africa Parliament. Why can't we do the same in Ghana? Give employment to interpreters that are coming out from Ghana School of Languages. Why can't we do that? Why do we have the School of Languages where people are learning, studying, having higher degrees in Ghanaian languages, and we don't have a book publishing corporation for them? We don't have a book deals for them. We don't have anything for them apart from just maybe few radio stations that could, employ them. Why can't we do that? Why is it so difficult? Why can't we go to South Africa and study it? And we are here like a crab in Ghana, stepping on each other to see which language is this, which language is supposed to be national language, or we're going to force the whole nation onto one particular. No, there is a way you could do this thing nicely, beautifully, intellectually, and everybody within 5 years could understand each other. All you have to do, Ghana, all you have to do is by mandatory, through the Ministry of Education, have every language region, everywhere the Bible is or was translated into local language, there should be that local language in the school. Then you make it mandatory for each student from primary one, whatever class 3, to pick up his own language and another language. If that language is 75% in the region, pick that language and your own language. We could have teachers, train more teachers into languages, and they will teach these children in their own language, mathematics, science, and everything in their own language, and also pick up a language of the region that you are going to school in. After 5 years, 90% of students will be able to understand each other in 5 to 10 years. For example, in Accra, a child supposed to learn Gan, as I did in Tema when I was in middle school. Pick up Gan and then pick up your own language. Okay, so the Fantis that I went to school with, the Kwao people that I went to school with, we all could speak Gan. We were speaking Gan, even though I didn't understand one single Akan language. At the time I was in Tema, we spoke Gan. When I go home, I speak my language with my siblings and my parents. I step out, I speak Gan with Gan kids, and I spoke Gan with Gan children, the Gans, and I spoke Gan with Kwao and Fanti people that I went to school with. Everybody was speaking Gan, Fantis, Kwao, Asantis, Bron, everybody. We could do the same, could bring the same thing again. If you're in Ashanti region, you'll be forced to take Ashanti Tree as a language, just like you are taking English as a language. Then, if you are a Kusasi in Kumasi, you have to learn the same thing. Learn your own Kusasi as a subject in Kumasi, and then learn Tree. And then, if you want, you could take another class, maybe Gan in Kumasi, okay, or Ewe in Kumasi, or Fanti in Kumasi. Okay, that is what we need to do to detribalize the language, so that when a Kusasi person comes to Accra, can speak Gan to some extent, or could speak a little Tree in, so people who, at least he can find his way around in Accra. That is how we're supposed to do it. Let these children pick at least 3 languages, including their own. 3 languages, including their own, and Ghana in 5 years, 95% of the people can understand each other. What we are doing, it lacks innovation, it lacks common sense, and is stuck in some bitterness and some forced superiority on one side of the conversation. Break it down, slow it down, and bring some common critical thinking into how we can at least we can start with what South Africans did in their parliament. In parliament today, 95% of the people cannot say a word because they're scared if they open their mouth, they will make a bad pronunciation of the English language, and that will be their trademark for the rest of their political career. So they keep quiet. Only 5% of the people make noise like Afenyo Markins. Okay, Afenyo Markins is just the one thinking he could speak some language. His constructions are way off in the English language. His constructions are so bad, it's pathetic. But to him, he can make noise with English. So he's all the time they are making, even though his construction is way primitive. Okay. His friends call him Afenyo. Afe is a fe. In the Ewe language, when they say somebody is Afenyo, that means somebody who is unhygienic. He's supposed to tell his people that my name is not Afenyo. Afenyo means Afe is something that is unhygienic. Afe, that means they are calling him as Afenyo. That means unhygienic living is good. So in short, in the long run, this man will be looking so unhealthy, and he's showing around everything he does is very unhygienic. There's no hygiene to his politics because his people, the group that he endear himself into, is calling him Afenyo. Instead of say Afenyo, Afe is the house and Nyo is good. Afenyo, if you could tell your people that make you king of their party and their constituencies that my name is Afenyo, and if they can say it, you will be a very good politician because it will reflect on you as Afenyo, efie ne ye, Afenyo, efie ni ye, not Afenyo. Afe in our language means something that is unhygienic. Afe is rotten gutter. Afe is Kole Lagoon. Afe is what we have as circle, that big gutter as circle. That is Afe. And if it's good to you, that is you, Afenyo Markins. Let's relieve ourselves. Let us relieve ourselves from this English language. Adopt mother tongue, and everybody can understand themselves very well, and we can go forward. This English bravado to make you feel like you are highly educated is way off, is outdated, totally outdated. It will never gonna save anybody coming here with English. I myself am speaking English because right now that's the only way, but I am doing something so that we can adapt a situation where we don't have to speak English to our people. So I am doing something about it. And I'm doing it through English, unfortunately. But that is a step in the right direction. So we can identify those who are very uncomfortable with mother tongue, the politicians and the preachers. Nebadzani.